Hi, yeah, full of energy, everybody. Early in the morning. Welcome. We today want to tell you something not so technical, actually. We want to tell you why UX is a full stack job. And who are we? I'm Marcel, I'm a software engineer, and this is my colleague Miriam, who's a UX designer. And together we work at Novatech Consulting Company, which is a German-based consulting company, and we focus on developing complex business applications for our customers. Miriam, what is UX?
Good question. So let's start. I hope you all know some terms of that. Especially when you talk about UX, the first thing what you always hear is usability. Then UX is UI. That's something we already had in our company a lot of times. And it's also feel. I'm going first into usability. The most of you hopefully know this. It's about functionality. So a user wants to complete a task. And for example, or I have here an example, you want to rent a car. So you're on a website, you're gonna search for some cars, you find one, and then you book. If the booking button is not there, not available, you cannot complete your task. So the usability is really worse. And also usability should be intuitive. So that's usability. The other one is look. We know it, user interface. But it's not only that it should look like nice, modern, or something else. It's also about trust. So if you're on a website, you want to go to a new doctor, and the website looks not so good, not so serious, and you cannot trust into the person. You don't go to this doctor. And the other thing is one of the most important things for UX. It's about feel, it's the perception, and also a lot about the reaction and emotions of user. So you can see everything here is UX. If something fails, then you always have a bad UX. So I have here an example for you. I think a lot of you already saw this. It's nice. It's a nice cup. It's cute. Great UI. Maybe you love it in the morning when you see this cup, and then you drink out of this cup, and then, yeah, I think then it's the end of the cup. You're gonna throw it to the wall. Another example of what's UX, it's also here. Someone was thinking about in a park how you can walk, but it didn't ask you as a user of the park, because your only need what you have is you want to go fast from A to B. So then you make your own way there. So, and now we are done with the short lesson and going to our talk.
So we are based from Germany, exactly from Stuttgart, and if you know Stuttgart by any means, then probably because of car manufacturers there. So what should we do here? We want to build a car with you. We have this vision here. We want to build a futuristic car which has weird tires that don't really go to the ground, but we want to build that fancy new car now. We have a vision of our product. It's not really thought through, but that's what we want to sell. We're gonna build a startup now, we're gonna build a car. So we try to scope it. We think about actual roadmaps, kind of slice an MVP to start somewhere. You probably all had that in your software projects already.
Yes, so from vision to MVP. what's going on there. So for me as a UX designer, it's one of the most important parts here where I can do my task, my work. The most important thing here is to understand your customers or your user. This means you have to know what kind of tasks they want to do, solve, whatever. You have to know the context of everything and the needs of the user. How you can do this is one thing, you have a look on the market. What's in the trend, what you have to think about in your product, or you don't want to have in your product, that you are special, that you have your unique selling point. And now we are going on the example back to the car. This actually explains Stuttgart really well. We really have a lot of cars there, and always you're in a traffic jam. It's, as a beginner, when you're driving, it's the most hardest city, for my feeling, in Stuttgart to learn it, because everyone is angry, nobody wants to be there and driving, and yeah, they always love to use the honk. So, what we are doing here as a UX designer, we want to find out the context, and there's one method. It's actually really good. It's the contextual inquiry. You're going on this area or this workspace, whatever, where the user is going to use the product you want to make. Or you have a look how they use your product when you already have this. And then you're going to observe them and find out what kind of needs they have. So here is how you actually can see a lot of drivers there. They're completely angry. For you to understand, you're standing on the red traffic light. It's getting green, and then most of the people actually start to use the honk when it's yellow. So from the 1 second it goes from yellow to green in Germany, you have to drive. Or the one behind you is getting angry. So there's another method you can use is of observation and also interviews. You can ask your users what they need, what they want to have. And in our example, they want the solution a flying car. They don't want to wait on the street. They want to say, okay, I'm going up to the air and then I'm flying to my flying the way. And maybe they also want a little special gimmick, a flamethrower. And yeah, maybe it's the new honk there. We don't hope so, but in our example, this is the car what the users want. And then it starts to being realistic. At this point, you also should talk to your developers and find out, okay, what's realistic, what we can do here, what's important for the first MVP, and what are features we can put in the future in it.
So now we enter the design phase of our project development cycle. Obviously, here we focus on UX a lot. We create concepts of our system architecture, and we think about our information architecture to have a kind of a big picture of both of them, to maybe be able to realize a flamethrower on our flying car later, even if we say our MVP should just be a driving car. Also, we create wireframes and mock-ups and click dummies to kind of get a prototype of our app and find out what our app or our car should look like. Sorry.
And what we are using here, a short description. Wireframes, you can see it here, is really simple. It's not about the pixels, it's just about the layout, where you can put a button there. It's helpful that you don't start to talk about pixels. That's the first thing in meetings what always happen. They start, oh, the button is to the left, I want it to the right, and with wireframes it's easier just to talk what you want, how it could look like in the beginning, that not everybody is still based on the pixels. And then the next step is you make some mock-ups. It's realistic, you get a feeling of that, how it could like, how the interaction's gonna feel, and with that you're gonna make a click dummy. And you can use it for testing in this part. And for this, we are always using Figma. It's a tool. It's really easy. Also, the developers can use it, can have a look on it. The handoff process is really simple. And it's also cheap. So that's one of the biggest things. It's web-based, and you have like free projects for free, and also the paid version is not that expensive.
So now we have a design. We now went with the design of the interior of our cockpit. Who likes this design? Quick hands up. Okay.
A lot.
Thank you. Which one of you has tried to navigate on their touch screen in their car while driving 200 kilometers per hour on the Autobahn in Germany? And who liked it and thought it was completely safe to look at the screen to be able to use the computer? Thank you, no one. It's a classic example of it looks nice, but the usability is horrible. We have not a single, we have two mechanical buttons there. And basically, when designing a cockpit of a car, you might want to design it for blind people. Not that a blind person would like to drive a car, or should do it, to be honest. Even self-driving ones, I'm not really keen about. But you want to navigate by touching the buttons, and you know probably you need to touch the fourth button from the top, so you're going down with your finger, and you know when the first three ended, and you press the fourth button, and you get feedback because you press the button and not touch the screen. So there's a lot of usability and user experience we missed out with this design. So it would be better to have more physical stuff and not force the user to not look on the street while driving.
And here it's really important, in this step, you can test it. So you can make a prototype, you can test it with the users, and then you really have the option to find out it's a good design or is it a bad design, and you're gonna save a lot of money. We all know to build a car, it's like about, 5 years or something like that. So if you find out after that it's worse and everyone hates this, let's test it before.
But okay, we chose this design, we have an MVP, we might want to change it later. Let's move on. Let's actually build our car. Let's take the parts, put them together. Obviously, we put in the light first, and now we're taking care of the trunk. And implement all the features we planned, designed, and refined. While implementing, there are a lot of criteria which impact UX more or less. One obvious one is performance. If the performance of your system is bad, your user experience is bad. Especially if you don't put in stuff that makes the loading times of your API or the response times of your API kind of busy. Loading spinners are a basic example of lazy approaches of improving the perceived performance to make the user know that there's something happening, so he waits until it actually comes back what he requested. Also accessibility. Often when talking about accessibility, we talk about colorblind support or the right fonts you can read, and blind people or people with bad vision, but also if I make software for a car, I should test it with people driving on the road and taking care that a person who's driving is able to navigate and put in the address in his navigation system, for example. Also, we have features users don't want to fail. There are features I'm okay if they're not working, like my speech assistant. If my car says once in a while that it's not working because of some reasons, I don't really care. I try to navigate with the touchscreen while driving 250 kilometers per hour on the Autobahn. But there are features that should not fail, and they also, if something happens, if we have a problem, we want useful error messages. We don't want to tell the customer there is an unknown error, we don't know what to do. So we want to give the user information with every error message we provide them. And also, we need to constantly collaborate with our UX colleagues, because while implementing, you often find out that something isn't really applicable from the UX design, and you need to talk to each other and find a way in the middle somewhere. The design was really good, but the application goes into another way. Then you need to talk to each other and find a compromise. So talking about error messages again, because I think it's an important topic. Every one of us probably had a software where he or she was told there is an unknown error. Something went wrong. What does it help you? Nothing. You just know the system doesn't work. Those error messages should have a purpose. They need to inform the user what is wrong and what is he or she able to do about it. So you can like categorize it. Retriable errors, like, okay, something with our API was wrong, maybe it was down for a second. Please try again in a few minutes. It should probably work and it should do the trick. Or there's something really wrong, like internal server errors. We have a bug in our system. Please reach out to support. And even if they reach out to the support, the more information they have, the better their feeling is. Even if you don't want to expose all your potential security vulnerabilities because something went wrong, and you give them an error code. A user feels better if he can reach out to support and say, hey, I got error code turtle, can you help me? And of course, you should brief your support with information about the error codes and what to tell the customer. And even if it is, we're gonna tell the developers, we're gonna reach out to you in like 2 days. Please wait until we fix that. There's a problem and we need to take care of it. This gives the user the feeling of power. And every one of us wants to have the feeling of power. What we don't want to have is the feeling of not being able to do anything and need to wait for a product. We paid a lot of money for it because we're building a fancy-ass concept car. We want to think that we have an impact and we can pressure the developers, for example. And we should help our users to solve the problem.
Now it's time for testing. For me as a UX designer, it's really special because my concept is done for the first step. I can really see what I was thinking about a lot of weeks, a lot of work is done, and then starts the testing. On the one side, we have the technical testing, and on the other side, we have the UX testing. Technically, hopefully it's fully automated. You should also have a look on it that you don't break some features with a new version of it. You should do some load tests. And now we're coming to the UX testing. I really love that. For me, the first thing I'm doing when the version is done, I'm gonna try to be the user. So I try to test the complete user flows. I try to do it in a realistic scenario. So if I know that the user are using a special device, like an iPhone or Android device, I try to test the software on this device and try also to be in the situation to find out maybe the first things what we should improve in the next version. And this is the one part of UX testing. The other one is that you really can do a usability test. So you invite your users, you give them a task, and then you say, hey, why are you doing this? Please think loud. They have to do the task. We are going back to the first example that you want to book a car, and then they should think loud while they're doing it. Then you find out really a lot of things what you should be aware for the next version.
One thing we want to achieve with testing is always make sure a feature works as intended. And I have an example of a feature that should be working no matter what. If you ever drove a car with keyless system and those things where you just need to have the key in your pocket and you can open the car and you can start it with pressing a button. And those cars usually have an anti-theft protection, which makes sure that if there is no car key present in the inside of the car, then the car will stop latest 100 meters later and you're not able to drive away. So if you let your car open and someone else tries to steal it, they're stopped usually 100 meters later. But if this feature doesn't work, there are two scenarios which could happen. One is it detects a key without a key being present, which makes it possible to steal your car, which is the better case of the two in my opinion, because then I go to my insurance company, tell them my car malfunctioned and someone stole it, and I probably get a lot of money back. The worst thing, at least for us car manufacturers now, is that there is a key recognized which isn't actually inside. Oh wait, I mixed it up. It doesn't detect my key, sorry. So I'm thinking about nothing bad. I'm sitting in my car, I'm driving for like 100 kilometers and then maybe my battery is empty of my key or whatever, and it doesn't detect my key anymore, and it says, I'm gonna stop in 100 meters. And you're like in the middle of nowhere, and your car just stops working. And this happens maybe once. You call a mechanic, they're gonna pick you up, they maybe fix the software problem that happened. If this happens twice, maybe you're not only calling the mechanic, also you're selling your car. And you're not buying our car in the future anymore because we make shitty cars which do not do what they're intended to do. They do not bring us from A to B anymore. And that's what we meant with liability, and that some features just need to work. Another example would be an alarm clock. If my alarm clock once fails to wake me up, I'm gonna throw it away because I only use an alarm clock if it's really important and then it needs to wake me up and I need to rely on that. Those features are necessary to not fail. But all features work. We're done with the implementation. We're done with our MVP, and of course we have a big release party. We invite everyone who's important in Stuttgart, everyone who makes cars, every politician who decides to build new streets for our new cars to drive on. We celebrate the biggest achievement we ever had. We plan to do a flying car with a flamethrower on the roof, and we now have a regular car driving on the streets without a USP, but that is what you do with MVP often. Let's try to get it into terms of software development, which is hard in this particular case, but let's think about integration and deployment. When we change something, for example, in the software in the cockpit of our car, we want to have the famous small and frequent deployments. We want small updates. We don't want to care about deployments. We want to be able to deploy on Fridays. We want to have zero downtime deployments. And all of that because we want our system to work. And with small changes, we want to make our customers feel confident to use the software. We don't want to overwhelm them with big changes, with everything designed completely new, every process they need to go through just changed, and we mixed everything up, because then some users might as well think about just switching brands in the future because we just had a software update and it feels like a completely new car. And of course, we want to release features when they're done, which is sometimes a bit unrealistic because there are deadlines, but unfortunately often you have kind of artificial deadlines, which are deadlines just to be there to pressure a team to deliver something. And we want to have features done when we're releasing. If we go like for game development, it's almost a running gag now that a game is published before it's done. In our car, that would be a bad idea, because again, we have a lot of features we rely on working. So after the release party, of course, our car is sold in stores. We have car dealers, which look pretty fancy in the future, obviously. And what happens now? At the same time, it's one of the best things and one of the hardest things in software projects. The users are coming. And users use our system heavily. They do things we didn't think about them doing it. In a car, we could have the example, nowadays most cars are automatic shifted, and let's say our car is intended to shift up a gear when reaching 2000 rotations per minute, and our users say, no, I want to do it manually. I switch to manual mode and I just give everything and I put the pedal down and I shift up at 6000 RPM and boom, the engine explodes. Shouldn't happen, but also there's this pretty old joke about a QA engineer walking into a bar, ordering 0 beers, 1 beers, 99 beers, endless beers, and everything works fine, and the customer goes into the bar, asks where the bathroom is, and everything explodes. Because customers do weird stuff sometimes, because we don't think like customers often. We spend years with developing our product and often expect users to act like they should, but users don't act like they should. Users act like people, and people are different. And people don't know about our product. They might need an onboarding, like a manual or pop-ups in our software, which say, hey, if you need this, go there, all that stuff. And of course, users will find bugs because they use paths we didn't think about. And with those bugs, we're again back at error messages, but I'm not going back there now. we're going forward, what do we need to do? We need to take care of maintenance. We should have proper monitoring and alerting implemented. We should be able to detect outages, bottlenecks, performance-wise, and also errors should be detected early because, again, the user reaches out to support. What does he say? Hey, I got error code turtle or butterfly or whatever we say. If we use planets or numbers, doesn't matter. And we tell him, yeah, we know, we're already on it. This and that happened. We're taking care. Of course, there are also cases where we don't want the user to have too much information. But if we give the user the feeling that we're on it and we already know that something is wrong, he might be happier than if we say, oh, we have no idea. That's interesting. What do you have there? And to support your support, also, it's good to have tracing in place if you have a distributed system and maybe provide a tracing ID in addition to the error code. Because in the end, nobody wants to go into the mechanic or is it car shop? And be told that, yeah, we might want to have a look at it. Not sure what is your problem. Can you come back in 3 weeks? I don't think you need your car in that time. And maybe we need to order some parts and yeah, I need to call the manufacturer. That's not what your users want to have. That's a really bad user experience. In this case, you can blame it to the mechanic. But also, it's part of your job. And if you're not building cars, but software, you don't have a mechanic to blame it on. That's kind of the problem. So your support should have quick response times. Again, give the user a feeling of power, the feeling that he's able to change anything and that you're really taking care of him, even if you're just taking care that your system doesn't crash because the user does weird stuff. So, can you wrap it up for us?
We are a little bit quick right now. I try my best. So, I hope you all now know it. UI is not only UX. So, UX is not UI. It's a part of UX. UX is more difficult. A lot of things going into the UX. But in the end, the support. So, if you made a great product, you tested it before in the concept phase, you find out some problems, some mistakes, you changed it there, and in the end, you released your product, and everything was fine in your opinion. In the end, the support fails. Then it has a big impact of the whole UX of the product. And we heard it, you're never gonna buy this car again or a future car from us. So it's really important to have a look on it. So my approach is talk to each other. In my project, I'm doing it like that. I'm normally the first person who got the information, hey, we want something new. And what I'm doing is I'm taking my developers into the kickoff sessions with my product owner or the stakeholders or someone else, that they heard it the first time, and after that I can talk the whole concept part with my developers. That we're always talking together, that I'm asking, oh, is it technically possible or is it too hard to implement? Or also you as a developer also have awesome ideas, what I can have a look on it, and together we can find the best solution and the best UX for our users and customers. Also, your impact on UX vanish over time. So yeah, in the beginning it's a little bit bigger. In the end, it ends up, yeah, how the users are gonna be to your product, and yeah, also how the support is gonna be. Important is that you can compensate mistakes. We already heard it in error messages. It's important to give something to your users, that they know, that they don't have the feeling, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. You should be always there for your users. And yeah, a lot of things have a big impact of UX, and we hope you already care about UX, and the most of time we are happy. The most of people are already think about UX, and that is the first way how we can make great UX. So you can find here our contacts, also from our company, and our LinkedIn profiles. You can always reach us, you can ask us something, and yeah, Marcel.
If you have any questions, feel free to shout them out now, or just reach out to us. We're gonna be around here for quite some hours today. Thanks for attending. I hope you learned something. I hope you didn't learn too much, because that would mean that you didn't care about UX in the past. And enjoy the closing keynote.
Thank you.